Hello and welcome back to another FPL team selection video. This week we have our Game Week 33 team and it is a huge double game week. It is probably going to be the biggest double game week of the season with 4 teams now hitting a double, and we are well prepared for it as we have been doing with our wildcard in Game Week 31. Now I did activate my bench boost in Game Week 32, and as you can see on the screen right now, it was a very poor bench boost with my mainly Arsenal players and then Savinho in there as well. I was aware of the risks that came with the bench boost. Obviously Saka, not being guaranteed any minutes, especially with that PSG fixture around the corner. Savinho I was expecting to do a little bit more. I believe he started, the 8 games before I brought him in, and then all of a sudden he's been benched. So that is another one that I'm going to have to probably worry about going forward. Obviously Man City have another double this week, so whether I'm going to make a transfer, I don't think I am, because I really want to be trying to save transfers as much as possible for what happens if there's a double game week 36, and then of course the blank in blank in game week 37. I want to have as many transfers as possible for that. So I don't know. I think I might just have to hold Savinho and see what happens with that. But it was a very average week. I think I climbed about 10,000 places. I pretty much got the average score with the 80 points. Again, even with the bench boost active, it didn't really change much. It was a 6-point bench boost. At the end of the day, it was 10 minutes away from a 17-point bench boost. I think Brentford scored about the 79th minute, I want to say, and Raya was on for 3 bonus points and a clean sheet. Saliba would have got his clean sheet points as well, and it would have only been Savinho and Saka that would have let it down, and it still would have been 17 points, which would still been a class bench boost. But unfortunately they did concede, and we got only the 6-pointer. So we move on from that now. Again, I think I still prefer, I don't blame myself for pushing the bench boost button in Game Week 32, because I don't really like my bench too much in Game Week 33. Again, you'll see that in just a little minute, but that's how things went. Murphy was the big scorer this week with 19 points. A nice captaincy in Isak at least, which could have been so much more, but still pretty decent at the end of the day. The defence is kind of what let me down. Obviously Cucurella I brought in as mainly for this bench boost with the Ipswich fixture at home, only picking up a 1-pointer. I got baited by FUTMob as well, because they said that he scored the goal that equalised for Chelsea, and then it turns out that he never got the assist, or it ended up going down as an own goal as well. So nothing unfortunately there, but I've got him for future if I want him. I don't think I plan on playing him anytime soon. Obviously Verbruggen was in goals playing against Leicester, who hadn't scored in 8 Premier League matches, and of course as soon as I put him in my starting 11, Leicester go and score 2 goals and we only get a 2-pointer from him. But that just seems to be what's happening for this entire season with me. So it is what it is. It's not the end of the world. I still got a green arrow, so I can't complain too much. Obviously we've got the free hit planned in Game Week 34, but of course Game Week 33 this week. So let's take a look and see who the best players could be for this week. So these are our fixtures for this week, and again, like I said, we have a big double with 4 teams having a double game week this week in Aston Villa, Arsenal, Man City and Crystal Palace. And there's 3 other teams that have some decent fixtures that are worth consideration when it comes to some transfers. Now, I've blanked out all the Game Week 34 fixtures. Again, everyone that doubles this week is blanking anyway next week, but the 3 teams at the bottom, I've blanked that out because I'm going to be free hitting, so it's not something for me to worry about. Obviously, you can still see the fixtures if that's something you're interested in. Now, as I said, I'm well prepared for this double game week. I've got the triple Arsenal, I've got the triple City, and I've got the triple Palace. The only team that I don't have any players from is Aston Villa. Now, my team is filled with double game week players. I've got 9 double game week players. The only players that I have got that aren't double game weeks are Salah against Leicester and Isak against Aston Villa away from home. So if I was to bring in any Villa players, it would probably be at the expense of Alexander Isak. And again, I want to try save as many transfers as possible. I've got 3 in the bank at this moment in time, and I don't know if I want to be benching Isak. Again, I could always just play Murphy as well. I've got Murphy on the bench who could easily come in for Isak if I wanted to. But Isak is in there right now, and I don't really like the idea of any Aston Villa players. I think it seems a little bit of a trap. I'm seeing a lot of people bringing in Morgan Rogers, Watkins. I really don't like the look of Watkins. I think he's only had one start in the last 8 matches or something like that. And obviously all the other Aston Villa players are very much minutes risks. Rashford, Asensio, I think Rodgers really only looks like the decent one. And at that point, obviously, we've just seen Palace have a double game week with the exact same fixtures that Villa had with Newcastle. Newcastle was away, mind you, and Man City. And none of them really done too well. Munoz ended up with a -1. Sarr got, I think, 7, which was okay. Mateta only 2 points. So do we really think Villa players are going to be worth bringing in, transfer-wise? For a very tough double game week. I personally wouldn't be bringing in Morgan Rogers if this was just a run of fixtures, Newcastle, Man City, Fulham, Bournemouth, up until the end of the season. So it's not the best run of fixtures, and I think just because they've got a double game week doesn't mean that they're going to do well. We've seen that again, like I said, with the Palace players not really picking up too many points with the same fixtures. So I'm not really too worried about the Aston Villa players. I think I'm happy enough just to leave them and let them do their thing for the next few weeks. Arsenal, again, Raya, Saliba, Saka, happy enough with that triple up. Man City, I would really, really like De Bruyne. I think De Bruyne's going to be brilliant for the run until the end of the season. They've got nice fixtures after this double game week, after the free hit in game week 34 with Wolves and Southampton. And looking at this fixture run with Man City, the Wolves at home game takes me back to a couple of years ago when I played Sky. And I captained De Bruyne against Wolves at home towards the end of the season, and he picked up 4 goals. And I think it was like a 90-point haul or something like that, which was obviously fantastic. And, I think with his final run before he leaves at the end of the season, he could be brilliant. And I think he said something about him not feeling injured for the first time in so long. I really like him as a move. It just doesn't work for me at the minute without making 2 transfers and taking out players that I don't really want to take out. So I'm stuck with Savinho, unfortunately. I do still have Marmoush and Vardiol, which I'm still happy enough with. So really happy with my City triple up. Would prefer to have De Bruyne, but I'm gonna have to rip up my team if I want him at some point, so it's not really making the most sense for me. Palace, I'm happy enough to keep for now. Maybe get rid of them after the double game week, depending on what fixtures we get for game week 36, and we'll see with that. With Liverpool, I'm still only on Salah. I don't like Bradley because Alexander-Arnold could feature this week, and if he doesn't, it's probably going to be next week. And Liverpool's fixtures aren't looking great towards the end of the season, with Chelsea, Arsenal, Brighton not really great at all. So happy to keep happy to keep Salah, and then leave it at that. The same with Bruno, nice wee fixture this week and decent fixtures after that. There's just no one at the minute that I would be willing to take out to play him, and of course I don't want to bring in a single game week player when there's so many players with doubles. The same with Bowen, who looks like a pretty decent option for West Ham this week, having that Southampton fixture. But again, not the best fixtures afterwards with Spurs, Man United and Forest. They're not terrible either, he could still do well, but it's not one that I'm willing to use a transfer on. So this is how the team looks for this week, and banking as many transfers as possible, meaning that 3 transfers are getting saved from this week using the free hit next week, so no more free transfers that week. And then game week 35 will take me to 4 transfers where I could potentially start to use some or save for game week 36 and 37 depending on what happens with the doubles and the blanks. But as I said, 9 doubles this week: Raya, Vardiol, Saliba, Munoz, Sarr, Savinho, Saka, Mateta, and then Marmoush, who is going to be taking the captain's armband this week. Again, the bench looks decent enough, but to be fair, I don't think it's a bench. I don't think it's the best bench boost team. I probably would use it if I did still have it, purely because I've got 4 playing players. But everyone's playing away from home. I don't really think it's a bench that would have done too well. I can see Brentford scoring against Brighton at home. Villa could easily, do something against Newcastle, and that wipes out Livramento and Murphy. And Cucurella, again, he's capable of scoring against Fulham, but I don't think it's the best fixture for him either. So I think I still made the right move in bench boosting in Game Week 32. Just unfortunate with that outcome. But my team values absolutely flew up recently. We're almost at 106 million. I think since that wild card, my players have absolutely rocketed in price. Because obviously they're the very popular ones with, having doubles and stuff like that. So nice for the upcoming game weeks. It's good to keep these transfers in the bank because I should be able to have a very strong team towards the end of the season with that nice and high team value. So that's going to be it for this video. This is the team for this week before we use our free hit next week. Let me know if you're going to be hitting the bench boost button down in the comments, and let me know who your 4 bench players are going to be. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you did enjoy. Subscribe as well if you are new. Good luck for Game Week 33, and I'll see you all in the next one.